Introduce you guys to Jairus.
Wait, I just started recording. Go.
Oh, okay.
Welcome everyone to our Thursday night team Zoom. It is May 24th and rounding out the last 7 or 8 days of the month. So everyone I know is really busy and I'm happy you're on. We have an amazing training set. But first off, I wanted to have Candace introduce our new coach.
Yes, I'm here to introduce Jairus. She is awesome. She's actually another NICU mom. I love it. She and her husband are actually going to do this together, you guys. And she's already done great on program. And we've already done our first Explore today. So I'll have her say hello. Just unmute yourself, Jay.
All right, I think I'm unmuted now. Yes, okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Jairus. Like Candace mentioned, I'm new to the program, but I've seen great results. So I'm really excited to, be able to help others and show them that it's not another thing that they just see on TV. It's actually something that works in real life. So I'm excited to get started on this.
Yay, we're so happy to have you. Candace and I were waiting so patiently, so impatiently. And here you guys are. So good. Yay, we're really glad to have you. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Kelly and Corey and see what they have in store for us.
Yay! So hi, everybody. We are going to bring something a little different tonight. I know we usually do some slides and some things like that, and Corey and I started doing that, and then we were like, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's do this interview style instead. And the reason we wanted to do that is because we're both like extremely busy people, like most of you who are on this call. And what we were starting to talk about was how do we do this and balance all the other things going on in our lives. And I am a single mom of 3, and I have another job that I also work. I'm a pediatric speech language pathologist, and I'm going to ask Corey some things here in a minute, and she's going to tell y'all more about her. But I decided that instead of us like putting all these things up, I was going to interview Corey about her journey and how she has gotten where she is and how she's balanced everything. And in the process of that, she's going to give us lots of really good tips that we've kind of come up with that we both utilize. And hopefully this will help some of you all figure out how to balance everything that you have going on, because I'm imagining that most of you are also extremely busy. So, Corey, I think you're off mute. So if you would just introduce you and tell us just a little bit about you and kind of your background and what's going on in your life, pre-coaching even.
Sure. So my name is Corey Matheson, and I'm an executive director with Optavia. I've been an executive director for a while now, and kind of have been stuck there a little bit, but we're moving forward. So for me, the most important thing in my life is my kids. I have twins that are 2 years old, a boy and a girl, Cole and Grace. Over the course of the last 2 years, they have been a huge change for me. So obviously they're my first and only kids. They were born when I was only 28 weeks pregnant. So we've had a lot of complications with them. We spent 2 months in Mass General Hospital. And then after that, there were just a lot of complications and time-consuming complications with their development. So I've got my 2 kids. I'm also a wife. I'm a mother, a daughter. I also work full-time as the head of HR for a pharmaceutical manufacturing site in Cambridge, right outside of Boston. And so I have a pretty big job. I have to travel a lot. So I probably go 5 or 6 times a year to Europe and do a couple of domestic trips as well. And then on top of that, I work as a certified health coach for Optavia, and have done pretty well over the last, it's almost a year coming up on, it'll be a year the end of June. And on top of that, we just decided to sell our house and move in with our in-laws, and are searching to buy and build another house just for fun on the side.
Okay, so that kind of sets the tone. She's a busy lady. She's got a lot going on. So, Corey, you became a coach in June, and then you hit ED in August. And for y'all, anyone who's new on the line, that means executive director. That means that she either is running a business of about $6,000 in frontline volume, or she's running a business with at least one senior coach with $4,000, $4,500 in frontline volume. But tell us actually how you did that, how you went so quickly to executive director, and what that looked like.
Yeah. Sure. So, so when I started, I started, like I said, I bought my coaching kit the very end of June, and I was an executive director in August. And so the first one thing I'd like to tell you guys about the first month where I hit executive director was I hit executive director at about 10 p.m. Eastern time on August 31st. So it took until like the last, hours of the month to hit it. And I remember that month, like halfway through the month, I was actually on vacation. And I remember thinking like, there's no way I hit this. I was at like maybe $1,000 frontline volume. I had no coaches. So I was definitely not, going to get any help from, senior coaches. And I just kept doing the work. I just did what my coaches told me to do every single day over the course of the rest of the month, just thinking, well, if I don't hit it this month, maybe in September, October, November, who knows? But I just kept doing the work day in, day out, and just stayed really structured. And like I said, I ended up hitting it like at 10 p.m. that last night. So moral of that story is don't give up until the very last second. And then even when that happens, go to bed and wake up the next day on the first of the month and you start it all over again. Some things that helped me though, I did jot down a couple of notes just to make sure I hit this, but one of the most important things for me was that I invested some serious kind of time up front. So when I bought my coaching kit, I did what my coaches asked. I set up practice calls. I learned the program. I learned how to explain it really well. But one of the best things I did for myself, and I'll say this to any new coach that I talk to, is that I started, the program at the time was called August Madness, but it's essentially a boot camp. And if anyone hasn't done one, or you're brand new to coaching, the first thing you should do is ask your coach what boot camp is going on right now, or what is the next one that's coming up, because it's such an eye-opening experience. And I found that to be so beneficial. Just, you listen to the trainings, there's action steps every single day. And I committed to doing every single action step every single day for that whole month. And it was hard for me. Like I said, I was working full time. The calls were in the morning, so I would listen to them. After work, I would be sitting there with my notebook and jotting down all my notes. But do one of those trainings. It's where you're going to get the skills, but it's also where you're going to get this community, which you're not going to get anywhere else. We get it on this call too, but you're going to meet other people that are going through the same thing that you are. But that was where I got a lot of like the confidence to know, like, this is how I do this. And this is how I do this really, really well. The other thing that I think kind of pushed me, and I kind of got this through the boot camp, but there were things that I knew were making me really, really uncomfortable. Like I'm super uncomfortable right now, but I'm super uncomfortable like doing Facebook Live. I was really uncomfortable sharing my story. Like I didn't want to tell people, my weight loss story and how big I was. And I didn't want to tell people, that I struggled with postpartum depression and I needed some of this connection with other people because I was struggling with not having that because I had my kids and I was home on maternity leave and I didn't see people. I was alone and I felt really alone. And so this program allowed me to connect with so many other people, coaches, clients, old friends that became clients. And that really helped me to be able to put myself out there and kind of do what made me uncomfortable. And now those things don't make me as uncomfortable anymore. Does that even answer your question?
It does. And something that Corey didn't mention is that August Madness is something that is 5 days a week. It's every morning for an hour, and there are action steps every single day. And so our boot camps aren't always like that. Usually our boot camps are just once a week. But this was just like a special thing, and it's transformational. So if they ever do another one, which they probably will, they are transformational, and it is worth, I mean, I have a very different story than Corey when it comes to August Madness, but August Madness saved my life because it happened to me in a time when my life was kind of falling apart. And so it's kind of what anchored me. And so, but it's every day, and it is a true time commitment. I don't know how Corey necessarily did it, but I mean, I've listened to them in the car driving down the road because they happened at like 9 o'clock here on the East Coast. And I'd already been at work for a couple hours at that point. And I just, I was in the group, and that is huge. So if you're in a boot camp, participation in the group, which I know is really hard sometimes, is key, because that's where you're going to get that motivation to continue to keep doing what you're supposed to do, doing those action steps. And that's where, and that motivation though, guys, is only going to take you so far. Because what takes you further is actually having the discipline to continue to go and do. Anybody can have motivation. Motivation is great, but motivation typically ends. So you want what you're doing to become a habit and become a form of discipline before that happens. So just wanted to kind of clear that up for the August Madness and why that was so life-changing for Corey and her business. It's actually the first month I hit ED as well from all the things that I did, because they give you every single step you need to just grow your business in a major way. And if you're willing to do it, which it's kind of scary to do some of those action steps, but if you just make yourself do it, your business will grow in a huge way. So hit ED pretty much every month since then, right, Corey?
Yep.
Give us some tips and some tricks about how you did that. I mean, I actually hit ED for 3 months, and then for 2 months I didn't. And I know why I didn't, but I want to know what you did to make sure that you continued that consistent pattern that you had set.
Sure. So, oh gosh. So for me, when I first hit ED, and for the first several months that I was an executive director, I hit strictly on volume. So I wasn't sponsoring, which is not necessarily the way you want to do it. You want to be offering, obviously, coaching to the people. I mean, just in general, just offer it to everybody. But I wasn't really doing that. I hadn't gotten over that mindset yet. So I was reaching volume. I was reaching ED strictly on volume. And so how I was able to do that repeatedly was I had a really structured approach to how I was coaching. So, and that was on a couple of different kind of levels. So first of all, I have a lot going on, right? So I work a full-time day job. I've got my kids. I have to be really structured in the hours and the time that I can dedicate to coaching. So, I coach 3 nights a week, and it's the same 3 nights just about every week. Sometimes I'll throw in a fourth if there's just a lot going on or I have new coaches that are coming on, but I stay very structured. So I get home, I spend some time with my kids, I feed them dinner, put them in the tub, get them in their bed, and at 7 o'clock starts coaching time. And my husband knows that. So he's on kid duty for the next 2.5 hours, right? Until I go to bed, essentially. But I stay very structured in those hours. And in that time, I know when I'm doing my follow-up. I know when I'm doing my coaching calls. I know when I'm doing my client calls. I know when I'm doing my client follow-up calls. I know when I'm handling my stuff on social media. And so I have rocks in my calendar all the time, and I know exactly what I have to do. So at 7 o'clock on Tuesday night, I sit down, and I know I'm doing my Coach Explore calls. And so by having that kind of structure, I take away any kind of element of surprise for me. So I know what I'm doing, and I sit down, and it almost becomes, I'm really invested in it, but it becomes almost like autopilot. Like I know on Tuesday nights, that's what I'm doing. For your day-to-day consistency, just as a health coach, like do it every day. So for me, like I make sure I do my 3x3x3 every single day. My downfall is trying to post 3 times a day. It's tough for me to do at work, but I try to be really good about setting up my buffer account to hit my social media on Sundays. So I have my posts at least 2 a day for the entire week. And then I try to throw in a third in real time, which can be just like me posting on Facebook. Guys, make sure you're giving good client support. Good clients become great coaches. And so, follow the steps. Your business coaches are going to give you those steps. Follow them. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. This program and these coaching steps have worked for thousands of people before you, right? trust in that. Trust in Emily, trust in Jamil, that they know what they're doing. They're not giving you bad advice. They want you to succeed, right? So listen to what they're telling you to do and just do it. I try to be really good about my follow-up on social media too. So if I'm posting something that I know is going to get a lot of traction, I make sure that day I'm checking that multiple times. I'm sending messages to those people right away, following up on my likes, you know, and so I try to make sure I'm really structured in that as well, so that that everything is really happening in real time for me. And then most importantly, and I think this took a while for me because at points you get overwhelmed. Like I remember when I did my Facebook launch in July, I was so overwhelmed by the influx of messages and of likes. And I felt like I started becoming like on autopilot. Like I was just trying to set up as many calls as I could and send as many messages as I could on Facebook. And I was losing how much I was invested. And so I made a real commitment at that point to make sure that when I was talking to somebody, and this is about their health, this is so important, that I was available and I was present in those conversations and I was really invested in each of my clients. There's no, I mean, of course, there's people you like to talk to maybe more than others, people you're friends with that you're coaching, that kind of thing. But I'm no more invested in any client's health over somebody else. Like when they have me on the phone, they have 100% of my attention. And that's not to say like sometimes my kids cry and I have to go pick them up, or, you know, there's a cat that keeps coming in this room and sitting on my lap that's distracting. But you got to stay focused and invest in your clients. They're going to feel that, you know, and they feed off of that. And those kind of clients that get that great support are going to be your people that become really great coaches.
Yeah, something that you talked with me a little bit about when we were preparing for this was how you actually utilize your team and your resources, and how that was something that you had to kind of come to because and really leaned into. And you even mentioned like kind of going rogue at first and then being, whoa, I got to draw back. I really got to participate in these trainings. I got to really, you know, listen to Candace. I got to lean into, and, you know, and Emily as her mentor too, because she's part of your team. So tell us a little bit about what that looked like and how that happened for you.
Sure. So so when I became a coach, I didn't follow any of the rules. I did everything you're not supposed to do. So don't do that. Because what I was creating was something that was not sustainable, and it wasn't something that I could coach someone else to do what I was doing. It was poorly laid out. I was getting clients because I was lucky, and people were seeing me physically. It had nothing to do with what I was saying, how I was saying it, and so I wasn't doing it the right way, and it was not a sustainable business. It would have fizzled out in a couple of months. So thankfully, Emily and Candace reeled me back in. And we were able to learn through a really structured approach on, you know, this is how you post on social media. This is how you follow up with those people. This is how you handle an explore call. This is how you handle people that are interested in coaching. This is, you know, and it's very systematic. And now, of course, I've done hundreds of client explore calls, right? Like probably 50 coach explore calls. Like it all becomes so, you can duplicate it. It becomes very easy to be able to do over and over again. And that is how you can reach more people. But if I had kept going down the path that I was going down when I first started as a coach, there's no way I would have been nearly as successful. And I think part of that too was that I didn't understand this. I didn't understand the team coaching. I didn't understand that you had this whole group of people behind you all the time that are like, they're here to help you, but they're here like cheering you on. Like there's nobody on this call that doesn't want everybody else on this call to be immensely successful. We're not competing on anything. There's millions of people in the world that we can help. There's like, we could all be presidential directors and there's still millions of people to help, right? So there's in no way are we competing against each other. We're a team. And if we stick together and, you know, we work really hard, that's something that's going to continue to grow and get it bigger and bigger. And that's why, if I didn't plug this already, which I don't think I did, everybody's got to go to convention, buy your tickets, get us all together, because the fun we have on these Zooms is nothing compared to the fun that we have when we're all together. So go do that after this call, everybody. That's my one plug.
I have a countdown started.
Yeah.
I'm counting the weeks until I get to be with these people again, because literally the energy when like just when it's just our group of people, like in person, is unreal. When you get in a room full of people who all have the same mindset and who all have the energy and the heart to serve and help others, it's unlike anything I have ever experienced at health church. Yes, it is like literally health church. And people, you hear people say over and over again, like, I mean, my wife was doing this coaching thing, and then I got roped into going to convention, and then I caught the vision. And there's a reason, because it is a palpable energy in that room. It's crazy. And then the training is just next level. I mean, it's just amazing. So yes, definite plug for convention. So when we were talking, Corey, we talked about that for several of the months, two, I believe, actually, you have you've had 10K in frontline volume. And so like you're hitting ED with that frontline volume, but we talked about how you really started getting that sponsoring mindset and really understanding how coaches could help you reach more people. Tell me a little bit about when you started bringing on coaches and what that looked like for you and how you fit that in, because we all know that's a different amount of time commitment.
It is. And so at first, I have to say, I sponsored my first couple of coaches. I had a really hard time with it. You know, I remember going to Candace and Emily and being like, I don't have time for this. Like, they need me all the time. Like, I don't know how to manage the time, because now you're not only dealing with kind of your own calendar and schedule, you're now kind of dealing with somebody else. But again, this is where the team comes in, right? Like, I'm really lucky. Like, Candace is a nurse. She works crazy weird hours. She's not kind of working a 9 to 5 every Monday through Friday like I do. I luck out because Emily's on the West Coast and we're on the East Coast, so she's got totally different hours than I do. So honestly, like I remember my first coach, she wasn't a client, and she was a waitress. So she was working nights and I was working all day. And I swear Emily and Candace coached her more than I did at first, because the hours just didn't match up. And so I remember being really kind of nervous about sponsoring other people. I also remember being really nervous at first about, gosh, how do I ask someone to buy a $200 coaching kit after they're already buying this food? Like, how many people struggle with that? Because that was a huge thing for me. Like, people are already paying for this food and they're doing this program that I've kind of, like, don't think about it like that. And I remember the first couple of months, that's all I could think about was I'm asking people to spend more money. And then all of a sudden there was this shift in kind of how I thought about everything. And it became, this is a gift that I'm giving to other people. This is not like, this is them spending $200 and they can get unlimited income for their families. They can get healthy, to live longer, to be happier, to sleep better, to have more energy, to come off medications, to have less stress in their lives. Like, this is something that can be such a gift if people use it, right? But I remember that took me months to get to a point where I felt that way, I guess. You know, and now I feel like that's so easy for me. Like, I after that kind of August Madness boot camp that I did, you know, after that, I offer coaching to everybody. And I know I've got a couple of my coaches on here today, and I know in their Explore calls, we talked about coaching, and now they're both coaches. And so that's like how I've had to get over myself in order to let that be successful. Did that even answer your question, Kelli? Now I'm forgetting what
it does. I think that that's the way for a lot of things with this program, and a lot of us, something that I talk a lot with my coaches about is, if you have a concept about it, then the people that you're talking to are going to have a concept about it. And so when I started thinking, it's just $200. Like, I spend that at Target on 2 shopping trips, or sometimes on 1, and I could start a business for that. And this business, I mean, I've tripled the amount that I make in the last 3 months in this business because I've been willing to work harder. I'm making 3 times how much I was making just a couple months ago because I'm willing to work harder. And next month I'm going to make probably another, I'm going to have quadrupled it by next month. I would almost guarantee it. And it's just, I spent $200 to do that. And, you know, when you start thinking about it like that, it's kind of like, oh, Yeah, that's not that big of a deal. And this is the thing with the program. When I started thinking about, well, I mean, you're spending how much on food a day anyway? It's not really expensive. It's just a trade-off in costs. Like, well, maybe you don't get to go get, your nails done every single week, but you're getting healthy, and then, later. Priorities and things like that. Once I started shifting the way I thought about things, it really shifted the way the people that I talked to thought about things.
Yeah.
And so
I
was just help coaches with that, because it is concepts.
I also feel like too, I struggled at the beginning. I always kept thinking like, okay, I'll be a senior coach, and that's great. Like, I'll help 5 people, and that'll be great. It's a little extra income. And I kept using everything I had going on as an excuse. So I kept saying like, okay, like, oh, well, like Emily can do this because she got to give up her day job and has more time to do this. And that's an excuse. That was me using that as an excuse for lack of success. And as soon as I could kind of say like, no, that's not how it works. Like, there were plenty of people at Go Global walking across that stage that still work their day job. They work a full-time job or they work a part-time job, and they do this still considered on the side, that they're immensely successful. And so, I always like to tell people I think sometimes we use all we have going on almost as an excuse of why we can't be successful. And I have to tell you guys, I probably coach 8 hours a week. 8, that's probably fair. A few nights during the week, maybe a couple hours on the weekend, 8 hours a week. Now, I'm available to my clients. They text me and I shoot a quick text back sometimes. Same thing with coaches. But I do not spend more than 8 hours a week on calls, Zooms, or trainings. And I've been able to do this. And hopefully, right now I'm right at the borderline of regional director or fully integrated business coach. And it's totally doable with that kind of time frame if you dedicate your time and allocate it appropriately and are doing the right thing.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're willing to be vulnerable and share like where you've messed up and where you've had blocks.
So many times.
But that's how everybody's going to learn, because that's how you learned, right? Mm-hmm. We all learn through our struggles, our failures. That's the journey. Mm-hmm. So I know. Tell us how many coaches you have right now and where they are, just so we kind of can have an idea of what's going on in your business.
So I look at 2 different things. So I've had 13 people buy their coaching kits. I probably have 8 coaches, people that have clients that are actively out in the community, reaching out to people, scheduling calls with me, working really hard. So there's probably 8 that are my go-getters that are out there doing big things.
And tell me, what are you looking for when you're bringing on these coaches, just to give us a good idea, like who makes a great coach? Who have you found? Like what have you found to be successful in your formula for who you look for?
So this may grow and change as I have more coaches that come on and I see more of the business side, because I've been pretty stuck on clients that become coaches. I've only had one coach kind of come right in without ever being on the program. And so I always look for people that are super passionate about Optavia and about the program. So, my people, when I get them on a 1-week celebration call and they are like praising the program, they love it. They think it's so easy to do. It's manageable with their lifestyle. Those are people that I'm always like, you're going to be a coach. Like you've got the excitement, you are passionate about this program. You want to share it with everybody. That's what I look for. I also look for anybody, even if people are on the initial client explore calls, if anybody ever mentions to me that there are financial hardships to even joining this program, I always offer coaching to those people, because I know that this could be a total blessing to them financially and for their health, because if they're able to get on this program, become a coach, make some money, they could also have much less stress about funding our program and being able to buy the fuelings and be able to stay on the program longer to improve their physical health. So that's always a flag for me to always throw out coaching. I always have a list too. It's kind of my scared list. It's people that I think would be amazing coaches that I'm not sure how to approach them, and days that I'm feeling particularly kind of energized and fearless. I always reach out to one. That's always my thing. And I essentially say to them like, hey, I've been thinking about you recently. I'm coaching for this program. This is kind of what I do. And I think you would be amazing at it. Would you be open to exploring it with me? And that's kind of how I posture it. And I've had a couple let me explore it with them. I haven't had anybody actually kind of sign up from that mentality yet, but I do have a friend who's in the fitness industry, and I have a coffee date kind of set up with her in early June, and I'm hoping that she'll do it because I know she has such a wonderful network, and she's all about helping women get healthy. And she does it more from a fitness perspective, but I'm hoping that she could do it, from a nutritional perspective as well and a healthy habits perspective. So, but that's part of what I look for. Excuse me, I'm getting over a sinus infection. I also just look for people that just have like a passion for life, like people that are posting on social media that are excited, they have a following, like, and you can just tell, like, if they got passionate about something, the sky's the limit. Like, I just look for that. And like, I've worked in recruiting for a long time, and that's a very kind of, it's not really sales, but it's people being able to like sell the company essentially. And I look for people that have the same kind of skill set and passion that I see in those people when I recruit for those folks in my day job. What about you, Kelly? What do you look for when you're bringing on coaches?
I probably have brought on or talked to more people that aren't on program than most people usually do. And I just look for people out there that have a heart to serve and that love others and that inspire me. Recently, I've been reaching out to a lot of people who just inspire me, just plain out inspire me. When I'm going through social media and, they're willing to share things and they're not necessarily a coach, but you see that they're just really changing people's lives by what they're willing to put out there. And then people just in real life too, you sometimes just meet these people and they're just magnets for other people. And so I look for that quality whenever I'm sharing coaching or thinking about asking if they want to explore. And then I look for people, who are like me and that, they're just hard workers. I look for people who are just hard workers. And I've been working since I was 15. And, I know there are a lot of other people out there like that are just, they have a really good work ethic. And I look for those kind of people as well. And then I do look at my clients that are loving the program, that are having great success, who are already just telling people about it. I mean, from a couple of days in and saying, hey, I've got some people who are already interested. Those are also people who I'm like, yep, you just need to go ahead and spread that love right on around and coach. Yeah. So,
I also found too, Kelly, so like expanding on that a little bit too, is like once you get people who say like, yeah, I want to be a health coach, right? So they buy their kit, they start. I have had a huge mind shift recently, and I think, Justin was just talking about this on our last call. Like, I was spending equal time with all my coaches. I was trying to spend, dedicating time to them, making sure they all got the same information, all that kind of stuff. And where I'm sort of having a shift now is like, I got to focus my time on my go-getters. I got to focus my time on my people that are really, really dedicated, like being able to help so many people, being able to make this a business for themselves, that they're investing in themselves. Like, like I said, I have 13 coaches who have bought coaching kits. I've got 8 that I'm spending my time with. The other 5, I love them. They're great people. I will support. They're on program. I support them as their health coach. And when they're ready and they say, "Hey, Corey, I'm ready to dive into this," like, both feet in the deep end, like, I'm with them and I'm going to support them. But I got to spend my time with my Marissas and my Caitlins who are like totally into it and like doing everything we ask them to do. Like, those are the people you got to spend 90% of your time with, because those are the people that want this, and you're helping them get what they want. And so, by spending too much of your time on the people that aren't willing to invest their time in this, like, you're wasting your time. Don't do that. Because I was doing that, and I found that I was doing a disservice to my go-getters by not giving them the attention that they deserved, and I was giving too much to the people that didn't deserve it.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think that's great information. I think the last thing that I really want to ask you about, and this is something that you and I attended a training with Candace on at Glow Global, was how do you utilize the resources that you already have to make more time for yourself? I know we talked a little bit about this, and it's just being smart about your business and putting your time where it's going to be income producing. And I know you mentioned some really good things that you have done to really maximize the time that you have.
Sorry, Kelly, you cut out a little bit. You asked the question again?
Yeah, so we went to the training at Go Global, and I know we were talking about how you're utilizing some of your own resources and how you're make the time that you are putting into your business as really income producing time, and instead of and that way when you're actually with your family, you're actually present then as well. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing to make that or how you made that shift in your mind.
Yeah. So there was a time when I had first hit ED where I felt like things were very crazy, and I was just sort of like feeding into the frenzy. And I wasn't very structured in what I was doing. And so now I look at it as like everyone on this call, like if I can hit ED, so can everybody else on this call and beyond, right? Like you guys can hit global, you can do whatever you want to do. I have very minimal kind of free time, and I use health coaching for me as a really fun outlet where I get to connect with really awesome people, coaches, clients, friends, peers on this call, that kind of thing. And gosh, how I kind of, a few tips and tricks that I use to sort of be able to optimize my time, because that's really like, only 24 hours in a day, right, guys? So I make a ton of lists. And lists are sort of how I live systematically, I guess. And so at first I was sort of coaching in my head, I guess, which is not the way to do it. I make your follow-up list. Make your list of people you think would be amazing coaches. Make your list of people that you want to reach out to about the program. Make your list of people you need to call this week. And I try to do all that on Sunday so that I know during the week, these are the people I have to call on Monday. These are the people I have to call on Tuesday. I use lists for everything. And there's a great app, and actually Becca Tinter told us about this when we were at Go Global. It's called Wunderlist. So if any mom doesn't use this program and this app, download it tonight. It's called Wunderlist, like WUNDERLIST. And you can link that list with anyone you want. So I have my list linked with my husband, with my nanny. So every Sunday, I make my list of things that I need my nanny to do when she's at my house on Wednesday and Thursday with my kids. I make my grocery list as the week passes so that by the time Sunday comes and I order my groceries on Peapod, because it saves me an hour to go to the grocery store by just hitting submit on Peapod, my list is there and I literally know exactly what I need. I'm not going through the fridge or the cabinets to try to figure out exactly what I need. I also use, my time in the car really wisely. Do not text and drive, but I use my time in the car really wisely. So I have an hour commute into my office and an hour home typically. That's where I listen to, I listen to trainings over and over again on my commute. I'll also do some easy client check-ins in the car where I know I'm not going to have to, it's not a health assessment where I need to be writing things down. It's really just a conversation. So I'll do those in the car. I will also take advantage whenever anyone else is driving. So if my husband is driving and my kids are in the back and we're driving for 45 minutes, that's set up my buffer time for the week. And I can get it all done in a 30-minute drive. And so I take advantage of that time where typically what else could you get done? Maybe talking to your husband or whoever's in the car with you is nice, but that's a time for me to be able to get that all done without wasting any time with my kids or wasting any time with my clients. And it's a really easy time to sort of be able to take, kind of kill two birds with one stone, I guess.
You mentioned your alternate work day too, because you do get to work from home, once a week, twice a week?
One day. Yeah. And so the day that I get to work from home, I obviously don't commute, but that is a day where I try to be available to more clients and my coaches during the day if they need me. It's also the day that I have my nanny there, so I take advantage of my nanny being there. So typically before, I was always somebody who, at least prior to having children, like never liked to ask for help. So I did everything alone, and I struggled alone. I didn't want to ask my husband to help me. I didn't want to ask my mother to help me. I didn't want to ask anybody. When you have premature infants, twins, you figure out really quickly how to ask people for help. And so what I started to do was, instead of, having my nanny at my house all day, or my mother-in-law watching my kids a couple of days a week with just strictly watching the kids, what I ended up doing is really making that list. And so my nanny now takes care of stripping my kids' sheets, doing their laundry, cleaning up the house. She will make food or meals for my kids for the next few days. She will open up, like if we have Amazon Prime orders or like Peapod gets delivered, she puts everything away for us. She restocks the kids like diapers and wipes and all that stuff in their bedrooms, so we don't have to worry about it. Asking for help when you make this into a really successful business, you have to be able to say, what are the things in life that just you can do? Like, just I can talk to my clients, just I can support my coaches, or like my coaching team can support these people too, but like someone else can put the laundry away. Like, I don't have to be the person that puts the laundry away if I have support and help around that can help me do it. I don't have to be the person who, like, I have my nanny set up my kids' doctor's appointments when they are. Like, I have my mother-in-law will, give the kids a bath before I get home from work. Like, there are things in life that other people can do. So try to be really conscious of the things that just you can do. Think about the things, a spouse or a parent or a nanny or, a mother's helper can help you do, that it doesn't have to be all on you to do those things. And I don't be like me. I urge you to take advantage of those things when you have them.
Yeah, when we went to that training with Becca Tinter, it was really very eye-opening. Some of the things that she suggested doing, she said back in the beginning, they didn't have a lot of extra income. Her husband actually was a police officer and was working a lot of hours. And she said that one thing that they did was they traded health coaching, like the credits on account, with some people who were in their church who were on program. And they would come and keep their kids for them to put like $50 on their account. And then as their kids have gotten older, they paid their kids for things that they used to pay someone to come in and do. And just to give them some more responsibility. And because they believe very strongly in making their kids responsible instead of, catering to their every need, which I think is really cool. And so it was really interesting to just kind of shift and think about things from that perspective as well, so that they could focus their time on, like what Corey said, the things that only they could do, the things that were income producing and necessary for their business. So I thought that was very fascinating.
And that's another thing too, Kelly, I like to say too, I feel like when I first started coaching, and even now, like, there are things that sometimes if you really want to be invested in this and make it a really successful business for yourself, sometimes there's stuff you got to give up, guys, too. Like, I don't watch nearly as much TV as I used to watch. Like, my nights are now dedicated to talking to you awesome people on Zooms, or talking to my clients, or, spending time on email or social media. And so sometimes you got to give up a little too to get a lot. And so, like last, summer, I started a trend where I was like, I'm not going to watch TV. Like, there was no new shows on TV. I wasn't giving up a lot, right? And sometimes you do. Yeah, exactly, Emily. You got to give up the good for the great. And so sometimes, like, a night where you're like, oh God, I just feel kind of tired. I don't really want to do these calls, or I don't want to set up my buffer with all my social media posts for the week. Like, success is not going to just come to you. You got to work hard for it. And so if you put in the time, like, you've seen how successful people can be in this. And if you really give up some of those insignificant things in your life, like, I'm not asking you to give up time with your kids, or, give up time with your spouse, or give up your day job. But if you give up some of those like little things that are just kind of for fun, or, use it as an incentive. Like, my husband and I watch TV on Friday nights together. That's like our thing. Like, our kids are upstairs asleep. We sit down, we have our few shows that are on DVR from the week, and that's what we do together. And so sometimes you do have to give up some of those things that are okay in your life to be able to get really beneficial things in the future.
Yeah, No, I totally agree. We wanted to kind of save the last few minutes to see if y'all had questions for us and if y'all wanted to pick our brains about anything specific, or if there were things that y'all are struggling with and you wondered if we struggled with it and how we got around it or got through it. We just want to kind of open that up to y'all. And if not, we'll end early. However you want to do it. Caitlin, I never know what to post on Facebook. It's my downfall. So, Caitlin, can you come off mute?
Can we unmute you? Oh, wait.
Okay, can you talk? Yes? Okay. So, Caitlin, you never know what to post on Facebook. What do you do in life? What are you interested in? What are you passionate about?
I mean, I can post like that type of stuff. I feel like when it gets to like the personal stuff about my journey or stuff like that, I feel like not pushy, but I feel like it was always about my kids or our social life with my sister and our friends and stuff like that. And like that I could post like 100 times a day about. But when it comes to me, it's like, and like I know because like Emily and Candace and Sarah have said a million times, like even if they're not liking it, they're seeing it. But like when I post like the before and afters, or when I post even like my success so far, it's just like I don't know. It doesn't feel there's not as many likes or comments or something if I post a picture of my kids. So I feel like I'm always like second guess like everything. Like I have like a million notes in my phone of like what I'm gonna post for like tomorrow. And I just sent it to my sister and she's like, oh, I don't know. It sounds like so pushy. Yes, you just did. And I feel like it's like, so then I'm like, oh, okay, delete that. Like I literally like sit here and for one post a day, and every night I'm like, I don't know what to post. Like, I don't know.
Well, what kind of things have you been posting? When you say you post about you and what's going on with you, what kind of things do you post about your success and your journey?
Like how I'm feeling, like the energy. What did I put? Oh, I wrote like the other day, like yesterday, I think like that there was 6 weeks to the 4th of July. Like think about how much weight you can lose, and like literally it was like Corey who liked it, and that was it. You know, and like my sister said, she's like, you know, people see it, whatever. I don't know. I mean, every day or every other day, I take like a Optavia like story and before and after of somebody else. I'm just not at my goal yet, so that's why I feel like I'm so hesitant too, because like I'm not there. So I feel like people are like, well, like, what are you're not at my goal yet. I don't know. So.
Do you share about your struggles or about what's hard for you, or do you share authentically about the changes in your life and what's going well, what you've gained? Share about like the trilogy of the, you know, how has this, I share a lot about how this has mentally changed me. I've been at my goal for a while now, almost a year. And I share a lot more about like the mental shifts and the mental changes. And I usually do that with a quote. I find a quote that goes along with it. I share a lot about like how it's helped me financially and given me more freedom and abundance in my life. Like I just shared about being at my son's field day the other day. And so I did share a picture of my son, several of them of him at field day, got tons of likes. And but I shared about like why that was so cool for me, because I didn't used to get to go to field day. I would have had to take a day off work, and I would have had to shift all my clients, and it would have just been more trouble than it was worth. But now I do. You know, I share about how excited I am when we go to trainings and things like that. I share about what I learn and the mental shifts that I've had from the trainings that are through this company. I share about the flexibility of what my life has been from this program. I don't share that much about my weight.
If I chip in, when it comes to social media, I get like I just want to talk.
Do it.
So I didn't coach until I was like practically at my goal. And I definitely didn't talk about it on social media until I was at my goal. And so 5 years later, I'm definitely not really talking. I think that you have this sweet spot where you guys are in your weight loss now. I'm talking about you and your sister. I'm like looking at both of you. And what's fun is you get to talk about it as it's happening. So take that out of the picture that you're worried that people are going to see if it's really going to work, or, oh, well, maybe if they see me lose more. Like, it's not about that. And I think this is for everyone. If we get out of the number mentality, the size mentality, like, if you just focus on health, and that could be physical health. I'm not saying don't talk about your weight loss, but when we post more vulnerably about how we're feeling on our journey, that is what people are going to connect to. Because whether you've lost 10 pounds altogether and that's rocked your world, or if you've lost 100 pounds and that's rocked your world, you have to find a way to connect with everyone. And so, yes, someone that has 150 pounds to lose might not care that you've lost 20. Do you know what I mean? But if you talk about the hope that you have now, how much more confident you feel in your own skin, like, these are concepts and feelings that everyone can connect to no matter what their health goal is. So my encouragement to all of you is to, like, don't worry about trying to sell a weight loss thing. Speak from the heart, because I didn't get to talk about this while I was like having all these light bulb moments, and it's been 5 years. So like, I'm not really talking about my weight loss as much anymore, but you better believe I'm talking about how awesome it is to, like Kelly said, like, go to stuff with my kids, not worry when a crazy bill comes up, to be able to like be a mom of 2 and still feel like confident in myself and like just throw on clothes and know they're going to fit. Like, I'm constantly weaving all of that in. So I don't know. That's my advice is for all of you. Like, it's about vulnerability. It's about connecting to the feeling. So let's get out of the facts. You know what I mean? And that's cool to share. Like, I'm down another 2 pounds this week. Woohoo! Like, but it's that daily, like, and at first it felt uncomfortable for me because I didn't like social media at all. But it would, and I'd think, oh, this is so silly. It's this small little thing, but it could be the smallest thing. Like, oh, I just like went to, like, I remember posting, I used to always be like an 8 or a 10 at Old Navy, like always, no matter how old I was an 8 or a 10. And then after this program, I got like a size 4 in shorts one day. And I just remember posting about that and just how mind blowing it was that at whatever age I was at the time, I'm not fitting into a size 4. Like, so yes, we throw in sizes and weight and stuff, but I would just really encourage you all to just like write the feeling down. Like, I think of Facebook as like my personal diary. Like, you don't have to get into the nitty gritty details of your life, but like how you would talk to a best friend if you were sitting having coffee, like just real genuine feelings. And people are watching and they're going to connect and they're going to private message you and be like, oh my God, I saw your post. I feel the same way. So,
yeah. I mean, I literally got my haircut today. And for me, that is like a self-care thing. And so I did a post about that I got my haircut today and how good it felt to like take care of myself and take that time for myself. I posted it 5 hours ago with a picture of me. And in 5 hours, I have 58 likes, and there are like 12 people who commented on it. Well, none of that's about the program per se, but you better believe I'm going to message all these people and be like, how are you taking care of yourself? I'm going to start a conversation with them. And eventually, for most of them, they're going to be like, so what's this thing you're doing? It always happens. And then I'm going to talk to them about program. Maybe I'll talk to them about coaching. Maybe I'll talk to them about the mental health side of things and how learning to take care of yourself. Maybe I'll talk to them about habits. Maybe I'll talk to them about weight loss. I don't know. I don't know what their need is. But I mean, so don't overthink social media. Like, just share openly and authentically, start a conversation, and just let it go where it's going to go.
Every new coach too goes through this. You have to like go through this tunnel to get to the other end, right? Like, you have to struggle through the like feeling like it's uncomfortable, feeling like you're annoying people, feeling like, I don't know, like sometimes I feel like people felt like I was selling something. At the end of the day, I think back to prior to being a client, right? And I would see Candace's posts. We were friends on Facebook. I saw her posts. Never once did I ever feel annoyed or like she was selling me something or that I didn't like reading her stuff. I can't tell you, though, how many times I saw before and afters or her Facebook launch or whatever that I saw. I never commented, but I was watching, and I remember watching and knowing like, oh, she's doing this thing. It's this program. She shares about these things all the time. I wasn't liking it. I wasn't commenting on it. I wasn't annoyed by it. I was like intrigued by it. But that's how most people on social media are looking at you. So you kind of have to get out of your own head a little bit and thinking like, oh my gosh, people are reading every post that I put and they're going to be like, they think it's like inundating their news feed. Like that's not what's happening, guys. Like people might get a Facebook post from you once, maybe twice a day. It's about something uplifting and positive, and with all the negativity and the bad crap that goes on in this world, right? Like seeing someone's success in their like drive to get themselves healthy, like people like seeing that. Like don't for a second feel like you're not annoying people. You're not. Like, so don't feel that way. And Caitlin, stop getting Marissa's permission before you post on Facebook. Post what you want to post.
She's so bad.
I know. Stop.
The other day she said, you're too cocky if you write that. I was like, how am I cocky? She had Look at her.
Run it by us. We'll tell you if you really need validation that bad.
You need it, Marissa.
And you're not. All of there's no, like, I'm friends with a lot of you guys on Facebook. Like, no one is posting stuff that's obnoxious or not going to be seen positively. Like, you're doing the right stuff when you're posting on social media. Just keep at it.
Yes. Right. Now what to post tomorrow? No.
Yeah. Don't ask your sister.
Yeah. No, I already did. Fail. Okay.
Yeah. Anything else? Good. Well, it's 10 o'clock, so I want to let it. We need to go to bed.
Yay. Well, thank you guys so much. I love that.
Thank you.
From official training. But yeah, thank you for your vulnerability, and yeah, that's the thing. We all connected to it, right? Like no matter if you're an ED yet or you're not an ED or you're brand new, I guarantee you connected to what Kelli and Corey are saying. So it's kind of the same idea with social media. And it's not bragging, it's sharing. See? All right, guys, have a good night. We'll see you next week.